I knew that my mind desired the truth, and unless I had the truth, my mind would never be satisfied.
Yep.
And I knew that my heart desired intimacy and love.
Wow, that's a great grace.
And I remember the only thing that I can relate to God was the Bible. So I picked up the Bible and I would read it every single day.
Wow.
Every single day.
Wow.
Sometimes I wouldn't even go to the yard. And eventually when I realized that truth wasn't a concept or an idea, but a person, that changed everything for me.
I'm a soldier for Christ. I'm a soldier for Christ. I'm a soldier. No, they'll never take us under, because we're bringing truth like thunder. Raining on your speakers like a ton of bricks. Hold the cross high, cause we're Catholics. Fight the good fight with the truth. Stand tall with the truth. I'm a warrior for Christ. I'm in love with the truth. Love God, save souls, slay error. Go stronger.
Welcome to the Terry and Jesse Show. Jesse's out of town, and I'm here with Wayne. I have a testimony from Wayne about how good our God is, and this is something that's going to touch your heart, so put your spiritual seatbelt on. Wayne, welcome to the Terry and Jesse Show.
Thank you, Jesse.
Hey,
Terry.
That's all right. Wayne, I'm so impressed from what you've told me so far about your testimony. I asked you to come on the Terry and Jesse Show to give witness on how good our God is.
Amen.
So before it all happens and your conversion, can you share with our audience your background? Where did you grow up? What kind of life did you? Were you in a Catholic home that was fervent, indifferent? Give us your background.
Well, I grew up right here in West Covina, California. I grew up in a home of fallen away Catholics. They had a concept of God, but they didn't really know who God was. You know? I mean, they believed in Him, but they didn't know Him. Right?
Sure. But did you, when you grew up in West Covina, I understand you also got into the gangs, and a lot of times people who get into gangs are looking for like a family,
right,
where they can say, I'm part of.
Right.
Can you tell a little background of how did you get into the gangs?
Well, I guess, as growing up without a father,
There you go. I didn't know that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm looking for a place to show me like what a man looks like.
Makes sense.
The only ones that were there were my cousins who are, they said that this is what a man is. You fight. Take what you have to take. And you're pretty much like it's aggressive and violent. That's
what you grew up with. So how old were you when you started getting involved with the gangs?
Well, I would have to say like I was like representing my neighborhood since I was like 14, 15 years old until I got jumped into my neighborhood later on after juvenile hall camp.
I'm a little ignorant of all this. Right. I think maybe some of our listeners might be. When you represented your neighborhood, what does that mean?
To represent my neighborhood, it just means like to proclaim my neighborhood, but I wasn't officially associated with them. I was associated with them, but I wasn't like an official gang member yet.
Got it.
Until later.
So there's a process.
Right. Just a brief idea of like how I grew up. Ever since I can grow up, ever since I can remember, was it's all been about drugs, sex, and violence.
Wow.
That's all I can remember ever since I can remember. My aunt, for the life of me, I don't know why. I think Lord just blanked it from my mind. But my aunt told me that when I was a kid, like maybe like 4 or 5 years old, she walked into a room, and I was huddled in the corner, scared, and my uncle, who's schizophrenic, was watching pornography and masturbating.
Oh, no.
So she indicates that I was molested as a child, and so like I said, and then like 11, 12, 13, 14, drugs, and just fighting. I had to, prove myself, this is what it is to be a man.
Oh, no. So
by the age of 15, I got sentenced to a 6-month camp term that turned into 2 years and 2 months. I was violent, but I used to tell people that I turned a 6-month camp term into 2 years and 2 months.
Yes.
But within the last year, the Lord healing me from all the violence in my life, He told me, He really communicated in my heart that I need to stop telling people that it was my fault, because I didn't get refiled on until a year and a half later. And to get refiled on means to
what does that mean?
To get another case put on you so that you can get more time. So I wasn't even supposed to do all that time. Wow. But my counselors and they forgot about me. I love my mom and my grandmother, and I forgive them. But they didn't ask no questions.
Wow.
I just was forgotten. I was lost in the system.
That's amazing.
And so by the time I came home, I was 17 before I turned 18, and I was angry.
I bet.
For me, I was like, whoever steps in my way, I'm gonna
deck them.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that they'll remember me.
God bless you, brother. So then you actually, when you became 18 years old, you got in trouble with the law, so you went to prison. Is that a fair statement?
Right. Like I said, I was heavily involved in the gang life. By that time already, I turned 18. I went to the county jail for 2 months, and then I got out. Yeah. And I encountered another rival gang member. We tried to kill him.
Oh my!
So I got in. I was incarcerated for attempted murder.
Oh no!
I was sentenced for 13 years. I ended up doing 15 years of my life in prison.
Wow!
Right.
Now in prison, because I know many people have told me. I have friends who are here praying at our chapel who have spent many years in prison, and many of them had their conversion in prison. Right. What experience did you have those years in prison? Was there any mystical? Was there any turning to to the Lord in prison?
Well, at first, no. At first, the first 5 years, it was like I would curse God.
Wow.
I blamed Him for everything.
Wow.
I just didn't care. I just didn't care about my life and everything. This is what I gave my life to. This is what I wanted. Like I said, I don't know, I mentioned before to you that my whole identity was wrapped up in this. So this is who I thought I was, and there was no alternative.
Right. So tell us, how did Jesus Christ come into your life with Our Lady? Because I'm thinking statistically, you should probably still be, like, even though you did your time, most of the guys get out to go back in because they did some other problem. What stopped you from being a statistic?
Well, I guess, the first 5 years in prison, I was like violent. I took off on correctional officers. I fought with them.
Wow.
I ended up doing three and a half years in the SHU. And what the SHU is, a segregated housing unit. It's like a prison within a prison, locked down. And all you're given in is boxers, T-shirt, and socks.
Really?
And a jumpsuit to go on and a finger toothbrush and
That's it?
Yeah, and tooth powder.
How long did you live like that?
For 3 years and a half. Oh my God. So my first encounter with grace, I would say.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Was an encounter with beauty first and foremost.
There you go.
I was a stupid kid, and the homies would encourage me to educate myself. So I graduated high school, but I didn't know how to read and write that well. So I would grab a dictionary and a book, and I would try to read it. Well, it was T2C. Eventually, I ended up falling in love with literature.
Really?
And art and poetry. And the thought came to my mind that, that the world was much more bigger than my little world. And I thought, like, what the hell am I giving my life to?
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So I ended up getting out of the SHU.
Okay.
And when I got out of the SHU, I went to the main line, level 4, Delano prison.
Yep.
And in 2006, and several months after I was in the yard, I just got up one morning, really sick and tired of, just tired of the violence, the perversion, the drugs, just everything. I was just tired. And I remember getting up off my bunk, the top bunk. My cellie was on the bottom bunk. He was asleep early in the morning. And we have a curtain where we to separate the beds from the toilets because they're so close.
Sure.
And as soon as I closed the curtain, my knees hit the ground.
Yeah. And
as soon as my knees hit the ground, the Lord quickened my mind of everything I've ever done wrong. And so I was on my knees for a very, very long time.
Wow.
And I remember for 3 nights I would cry myself to sleep. And the only prayers that I remember were the Our Father and the Hail Mary.
Where did you learn that from?
When I was a kid. Because we were fallen away Catholics, my mom still baptized me as a child. And when I was in juvenile hall, I would tell my mom, there's these different religions, Protestant and Catholic. What am I? She said I was Catholic. So I would learn to pray the Hail Mary there.
Who taught you that? Somebody, like a chaplain?
Yeah, it was a chaplain that would go there once in a while. To
give you like a little pamphlet on the rosary? Did they do that?
They taught us. That's where I got my first communion and first the rest of my sacraments, right? But for some reason, it didn't click.
It didn't hit. Yeah, well, that's typical of kids,
right.
Young people.
And I would pray those over and over and over and over. And because I had encounter with literature and truth, I knew that my mind desired the truth, and unless I had the truth, my mind would never be satisfied.
Yep.
And I knew that my heart desired intimacy and love.
Wow, that's a great grace.
And I remember the only thing that I can relate to God was the Bible. So I picked up the Bible and I would read it every single day.
Wow.
Every single day.
Wow.
Sometimes I would even go to the yard. And eventually when I realized that truth wasn't a concept or an idea, but a person, that changed everything for me. Yeah.
Wow. So all this took place in prison.
Yeah, in prison.
And how many years were you still in prison when you really gave your life to Christ?
I was about 5 years and a half, almost 5 years and a half.
So did you have mass in the prison? You could go to mass?
My first initial conversion was in a Protestant perspective.
No kidding.
Because the only men that were giving their life to the Lord were Protestants,
of course.
right? So my first encounter was with them, and I would go to all the different denomination services, everything. And but one thing, after months, I was realizing, like, Lord, you're the truth, and you said that you gave us the spirit of truth, and you promised that you guide us through all truth.